Okay, so this is week 3, and we're studying theme KA, writing and recognizing the vowel letters. This is for next week, so I'm previewing some of the highlights in sub-kid language, but teachers may do it slightly differently based on their grade level. So, we have been studying letters and words and what they mean during word study. One thing I want you to remember is that English spelling makes sense. This is kind of more of a note for grown-ups because we tend to think it doesn't when it really does. English spelling is tidy and behaves itself. It has a high degree of order, and there is a reason for every spelling. This year it's going to be very important that when kids are speaking about letters, that we're asking them to say the name of the letter and not the sound of the letter during word study. So this is not a S, it's the letters theme. Yeah. In this theme, we are talking about vowels, and they are the 6 most important letters in the English alphabet because there's one of them in every word we write. And just that knowledge, I think, for kids and early spellers is a good one. We also want to teach them a system for recognizing and ordering the letters, and it's based on this idea of a vowel hand. Very tactile, but the kids learn the order, A, E, I, O, U, and sometimes Y, and they actually do it on the palm of their hand. In a handwriting version that Melvin does, he does a lot of handwriting using the palm, but this is for right-handers. You'll use your left hand, and for left-handers, they have to do it this way, okay? So if you have left-handers in your room, do you think I've got it mixed up?
No.
Okay.
I'm just trying to think.
If you have left-handers in your room, then you have to be able to model that for them as well.
I'm starting on the thumb always.
Yep, always the A on the thumb. Yep, so that doesn't change. But this order is very important because it helps kids understand the relationship between some of the vowels. The A and the E work together sometimes, the O and the U work together, but the easy one, the quick one for kids to recognize is the I and the Y. That's the most common way that they're represented. All of these are potential charts that could be up in a word study room. In this theme, you talk about the first law of English spelling. There are only 8 laws, and which was sort of a shock to us. We're not going to put up all 8 and have kids memorize them. We're introducing these laws as we come across them, but it's not about the law, it's about usage. So this law is that every syllable, and we talk about syllables later on, but every syllable of a word must have at least one vowel letter written on it. Okay, and then in this theme, let's see. So that could be one day right there, and then maybe another day is to talk about long vowels. And what he says about long vowels is that a vowel is called long when it represents the pronunciation of its name. So it says E or A or I when you say it. Me, taking. He also gets kids to code it with the line, although I don't think that later on that they do a lot of that, but initially it just varies. One day on long vowels could be, depending on the level, and then a potential other day on short vowels. And he talks about short vowels represent phonemes or sounds. And at this point also, we did some coding earlier where we're using the half arc, is what he's calling it. I know there's probably a technical name, but that's what we're using. But there's also some vowels that are silent for a purpose. They're not fillers, they actually do a job, and we talk about that too. So this example would talk about some of the silence. Later in the theme, he also talks about how some vowels work together like people, and they do a better job together than they do alone. AI as a digraph was the example, and it says A, and some classes are going to go into some words that have AI. What I especially like about this is that it's going to help in decoding so much if we hit this pretty hard, because if they can recognize this is a partnership, it's going to help them with reading. Many grade levels are going to be putting something like this above their alphabet chart to represent the letter. The letter A, which should be in brackets, can be spelled different ways. So very quickly, let me talk about the brackets. These brackets represent letters, and the slashes are going to represent sounds. And at this point, it's not going to be vital for the kids to know this, but later we're going to get better at using these things. And it does make a difference in this instance. We want kids to say AI says A and not the other way around. So practicing using these, and I messed it up, flipped it the first time I even wrote this, so it's not coming naturally to me. But that's the whole theme right there. Teachers can step off and take things further and have kids generate long vowel words. They can give them some and have them mark out. One of the things he provides in the theme is this worksheet where they have a little one of these to help them, but then they also go through and they code them based on being long, and they could go back and code them based on being short. We could give them a reading passage to do the same thing. They could use their own writing and do it to generate some work on these.